In 1962, the highest-ranking military officials in the United States signed a secret proposal. The plan? Stage terrorist attacks on American cities, sink American ships, shoot down passenger planes, and blame it all on Cuba. This wasn't a theory. This wasn't a rumor. This was a signed document, delivered to the Secretary of Defense by the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Its codename was Operation Northwoods, and it was approved by every branch of the United States military. The only person who stopped it was the President. It started with an island. In 1959, a young revolutionary named Fidel Castro overthrew the American-backed government of Cuba. Within months, Cuba was aligning itself with the Soviet Union, just 90 miles from the coast of Florida. For the Pentagon, this was a nightmare, a communist state within striking distance of American soil. Soviet missiles, potentially aimed at Washington, New York, and Miami. The CIA tried to fix the problem. In April 1961, they launched the Bay of Pigs invasion, a covert operation to overthrow Castro using trained Cuban exiles. It was a disaster. The invasion failed. Castro humiliated the United States on the world stage, and the relationship between the White House and the Pentagon shattered. President Kennedy was furious with the CIA for the failure. The military was furious with Kennedy for not sending in air support. And in this atmosphere of blame and paranoia and desperation, the Joint Chiefs of Staff came up with a new plan. A plan so extreme that it would remain classified for 35 years. A plan that would require the United States military to attack its own people. The document was titled Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba. It was 13 pages long, typed, single-spaced, and it read like a horror movie script, written by the people sworn to protect you. Here is what the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest military authority in the United States, actually proposed. Item 1. Explode bombs in American cities. Stage a campaign of domestic terror in Miami, and even in Washington, D.C. Blow up buildings, start fires, and blame every single one on Cuban agents. Item 2. Sink a boatload of Cuban refugees, real people, fleeing for their lives. The plan called for the U.S. military to sink their boat in open waters and blame Cuba for the attack. Item 3. Attack the American naval base at Guantanamo Bay. The plan proposed staging a fake attack on U.S. soil, using military personnel disguised as Cuban soldiers. They would blow up ammunition stores, set fires, and sabotage aircraft on the runway. But the most chilling part was Item 4. Hijack a civilian passenger plane. The military proposed a scheme involving 2 identical aircraft. A real passenger plane, full of civilians, would take off from an American airport. Mid-flight, it would be secretly swapped with an unmanned drone, painted to look exactly the same. The drone would then be shot down over Cuban waters, and the world would believe that Cuba had murdered American citizens. The passengers, they would be quietly relocated, given new identity, and told to disappear. Every one of these proposals was typed up, formatted, reviewed, and signed by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Lyman Lemnitzer. This was not a thought experiment. This was not a war game. This was a formal military recommendation, hand-delivered to the Secretary of Defense on March 13, 1962. And if it had been approved, American citizens would have died at the hands of their own military, and the world would have blamed Cuba. But someone said no, and what happened next changed the course of American history. On March 13, 1962, General Lyman Lemnitzer walked into the office of Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. He carried the document personally, 13 pages. Every branch of the military had signed off. McNamara listened, and then he said nothing. 3 days later, President Kennedy called Lemnitzer directly. The answer was no. Kennedy told the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that there was virtually no chance the United States would ever use overt military force against Cuba. The plan was dead, but Kennedy didn't just reject the proposal. He wanted the man behind it gone. Within months, Lemnitzer was removed as chairman. He was reassigned to a NATO command in Europe. A prestigious title, but everyone in Washington knew what it really was. It was Exile. That should have been the end of the story, but it wasn't, because the tension between Kennedy and the military didn't go away. It got worse. In October 1962, just 7 months after Northwoods was rejected, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the edge of nuclear war. The Joint Chiefs wanted to invade Cuba. Kennedy refused, again. The generals were furious. They believed Kennedy was weak, that he was letting the Soviets win. And Kennedy? He no longer trusted his own military leadership. The President of the United States and the generals sworn to protect him were on opposite sides. 13 months after rejecting Operation Northwoods, President Kennedy traveled to Dallas, Texas. On November 22, 1963, he was assassinated. No one has ever proven a direct connection between Northwoods and the assassination. And this video is not making that claim. But here is what is documented. The same military leaders who proposed killing American civilians to start a war were publicly furious with the president who stopped them. And within a year, that president was dead. Draw your own conclusions.